Everybody's back. Okay, so we're gonna call this meeting to order at 7 o'clock. Would everybody rise to the flag salute, please? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with justice. All right, I would consider a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented. Second. Moved and seconded. Any discussion of the consent agenda? All right, seeing and hearing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Signify by saying nay. Okay. Consent agenda is passed. And we'll move on to all the way down. Pretty much.
Yeah.
Number 5.
Excuse me.
We're going to do the enrollment report from Christy Hersing.
Okay. So we have a couple of noteworthy things this month. So in April, we saw a little bit of a dip here, which was not, it kind of surprised me, but then looking back at previous years, it didn't look like it was completely unusual. We've had a couple years in the past where we've had a slight dip in April. So it's not too awful concerning. Although one thing that's really interesting to note, because when we see a drop, I kind of go digging and I want to know why, what's the reason for it? Why are these kids leaving? So it was interesting. So I talked to the high school principal, and just at the high school, we had 9 students who were moving out of state. So I think that's just kind of telling what's going on right now. What's going on. So we'll see where the last couple months take us. I still expect that it's going to probably level out and we'll average out okay. But okay, so the next thing, you all have the financial reports in front of you. I just want to point out that our fund balance is projected to be almost exactly the same as where we started the year with. So being a numbers person, I know that numbers tell a story. And so I want to know, okay, what story are these numbers telling us? I know our revenue is pretty much about the same. We're a little shy in local revenue and local taxes by about 114,000, but nothing too crazy. So, so next I go over and look at the expenditures, what's going on with those. So, they're a little bit different. We're seeing an increase in salary and benefits this year. I think it looks like it's due to several things, not just any one thing in particular. So we're seeing an increase in both certificated and classified staff, both salary, benefits. As you know, it's been hard finding subs this year, so we've paid a lot of extra in substitute pay, planning period buyout, so that those staff members can cover other staff members that are out, extra time, those sorts of things. And then with the return of sports, we're seeing an increase, of course, or a comeback, I should say, of sports stipends. So that's not something we had entirely the last couple of years. So that's increased quite a bit this year. And of course that does go with the salary schedule as well. So that's increased. The additional costs, I think everybody's feeling right now. Everybody's feeling that higher cost of living. The school district is no different. We've had a 250% increase in fuel costs. We've had a 260% increase in food costs, garbage, utilities, electricity rate. The increase is between 115 and 144% increase. Insurance, that we know goes up every year, that's up 120%. So there's a lot of little bits and pieces that we're seeing a lot higher over the previous year and 2 years. So as we finish the year, I think it's important that all of the department heads and buildings really watch their budget closely. And so we don't end up where we don't want to be. And then as we look forward to next year, I think it'll be important that we really look and be strategic about where we spend our budget next year. So that's what I have for you.
I've got a couple of things here.
Yeah.
First, in the enrollment, the reason we have a dip every year, at least from what I've seen in the past and what I want to look into for this one, is that PCS season for the military, the permanent transit station, starts at the end of March and runs through August. So that's when all new orders come out and everybody moves. So a lot of times you'll see people leave, and then before next school year, we'll see new ones come back in. So that I would be interested to see, especially out of state moves, if that has a correlation, especially as we see it every year. And then the other one is fuel costs. Do we contract our fuel? Because I remember we had some discussions on that at one point, that we had like a level set cost, or does that actually change still with?
And I'd have to look a little closer at the contract, but we do go out to bid for that. Of course, there's one person in town, they always come in cheaper because of their location. But there's always it's always tied above a certain mark above the set rate.
Okay, so we're paying it at a spot above the market rate or at the market rate. Okay. So it does still adjust.
It still will adjust, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Right, any other questions? Okay, thank you, Krista. We'll move on to hearings of individuals and groups. Where's our, you have the sign up, Kim?
Oh, I'm sorry. I did leave it over there.
I'm
Sorry.
not sure where it is. I guess I do that. Maybe that's for you.
I'm sorry. I didn't even touch the thing.
Oh, okay. So, looks like Sammy Jo, put yourself down a couple notches.
I think,
Just trying to cut the top.
hey, somebody's taking care of me.
Lynn, it looks like you're the top.
Okay.
Can you hear me twice?
So my name is Lynn Ames. My husband Ken and I have a daughter, Hallie, who is a junior at Eatonville High School, and she is a member of the White River Equestrian team. I'm here tonight to request that the board consider reinstating an equestrian team at Eatonville High School. I recently spoke with Director Jeff Lucas, who informed me that some conversations have taken place, and to me, that is a move in the right direction. I believe that there are other equestrian parents here tonight who will be glad to hear that that is happening. For the last 2 years, our students have been lucky enough to be part of the White River Equestrian team to keep the students from EHS competing, but it's not the same as being an Eatonville cruiser and being on a team where you go to where you go to school. The students that they are on the team with, they don't have the same connections with, and they don't have the same connections with the coaches. Driving to Enumclaw for some of the practices has been a hardship, but we made it work so that we could continue to be part of the team. Several of the Eatonville students, as was in the bulletin last week, will be attending the state meet next month in Moses Lake. Sadly, they will not be going as cruisers. They will be going as White River Hornets. In speaking with some of the WASET officers, I have found that there's really no funding needed from the school district except maybe for an advisor or a coach. I'm not sure how that part works. And what we're really asking for is just the use of the Eatonville Cruiser name. The team has fundraisers for some of their personal expenses at meets, and WASET incurs all insurance costs. We have people interested in coaching and or advising. As the school year comes to a close, I understand that time is running out. The WASET organization needs to have our team on their roster before the end of June. So my hope is that conversations will be had and a decision made before that deadline. that so that we will once more have an Eatonville Cruiser equestrian team. Thank you.
Thank you, Lynn. Okay, Rick, you're up next.
Oh, boy. Cool. All right. I have some notes. I don't know if I'll use them or not. You know, I wish I was super creative. I'd do like one of those, you know, Alex Stein Primetime 99 like songs for you guys. I don't know if you guys have seen those. They're hilarious. I'm not creative, so I'm just going to be serious and boring. But yeah, you have to watch. No, just go online and watch it. It's hilarious. But you know, I went on for like 20 minutes at the last board meeting about communication and trying to figure out ways to get everything we're saying here tonight to you guys in different ways besides just being here. And I still think that's super important. I think opening up the survey thing, I'll say it again and again, would be, you know, one of the most helpful things that we could use to do that. It'd be nice to see it come from a bunch of different spots, not just like by email or online, like maybe make it available so someone can come and pick it up and, you know, maybe show their ID and their address that they're actually a, you know, local person and fill out that survey. But I think the feedback needs to get streamlined to you guys so that it's not just people that want to show up here and, you know, talk in front of you guys, because it's nerve wracking. Nobody wants to be up here doing this. I have tons of parents that are constantly, you know, telling me they can't because they're too busy. They got this, that, and they're not all excuses. I mean, there's legit reasons why they can't do this. And you guys, I know you guys all want to hear what they have to say. But so I did a survey on my own, text message survey, sent it to 135 people, local people, not friends, just local people that I've met, you know, in the community. And by far the number one concern that people wanted me to voice to you guys is the curriculum that's in front of the students. Nobody wants the CRT, DEI stuff. Nobody wants any inappropriate sex ed, you know, sexual orientation stuff in the school. It needs to just be gone. Like, it's just not right. We need to get back to the basics with the curriculum as it is. I mean, we have students that aren't learning and we're lowering standards, you know, maybe not here in Eatonville, but as a state and as a nation, we're lowering standards to make it so that people can graduate. That's ridiculous. We should, if anything, we should be putting out smarter students than we were 20 years ago, because we have more tools to teach people, you know, and I guarantee high school students coming out right now are not smarter than when I graduated 20 years ago. They're not. Like, I've talked to them. I hire them. I have a business, you know, I know. So anyway, the second big thing is drug use, tobacco use, inappropriate stuff like that. It's actually going on, not just outside of school, but literally on and in the school, on campus. People have repeatedly messaged me about that. And I have tons and tons and tons of, you know, witness reports, examples of that. And I also have tons and tons of stuff about, you know, the inappropriate, like the clubs that are going on, like at the middle school even. There's some really serious things that need to be talked about there. And I mean, I cannot believe how many parents are messaging me about that, especially at the middle school with the club, with the sex orientation flags and things that are going on there. Just, it's fine. Just don't do it at school. None of it, please. We got to get it out. And I think the public really needs to see like what the rules are and how you guys are enforcing those rules on the staff and on the students, because if they don't see it, they're just getting frustrated. And that's probably why we saw 9 people move it. Probably not military, unfortunately. It's people running to find a environment. I know my wife wants to just bail and go find an environment that's, you know, not where she's not worrying about that kind of stuff, you know, and that's just not right. You know, we could do better. You know, I I literally have no idea anything about any of the teachers I had going all the way through schooling. Like, I don't remember thinking, oh, this teacher was okay with this political party or this kind of stuff. I don't remember any of that. I don't know where that became okay. There's a lot of other things too, like people are really worried about the future COVID mandates and similar things that are going to come down the pipeline. They're still voicing that. And anyway, I really think the survey thing could really help, and I'm willing to help you guys try and figure out what that would take. And I hope I can help, and I hope you guys reach out and we can keep talking about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Rick. Sandy Jones, slide you in.
I didn't talk to you. I said some of your stuff. Good evening. As you know, I'm Sammy Jo 30 Acre. I want to thank you, first of all, for holding this meeting in a venue where we all fit. I know that's not the original plan, and I know it takes extra, and I just want to make sure you know that we know and we appreciate all that extra effort. Okay, so at the January school board meeting, I mentioned adopting a resolution for Eatonville School District whereby parents are recognized as the primary stakeholders in their children's education. At the February school board meeting, I read the resolution into the public record that Tenasket passed. Recently, I emailed each board member a copy of the resolution for consideration. I did receive an email response from Jeff Lucas concerning some of his thoughts. I'll continue that discussion with you if you don't mind, Jeff, because I'm not sure necessarily how they pertain to that particular resolution. I think we might have got caught on another sentence. However, you did present in your response some things to me that I'd like to bring up at the board meeting. And I quote, "We are seeing an unprecedented level of drug and alcohol use, behavioral crisis to include suicide, fighting, vandalism, and even an arson fire a couple of weeks ago," unquote. Okay, all of those things are horrible. And that being said, I'd like to know, what is our plan? What is our plan as Eatonville School District to tackle those issues in our schools? Because they didn't used to exist in the manner or the volume or the intensity that we're seeing now. And I'm sure there's a million reasons for it, but what's our plan? How do we propose to fix this? Have you asked parents for their input? Have you reached out to students themselves? We've had a couple brave young people come up here and tell you what they've witnessed themselves out in their schools, whether it's middle school or here at the high school, and they've presented some proposed solutions on their behalf. So these are smart kids. I mean, maybe, but anyway, so they have some proposals of their own on how they think we could fix things. So I want to know, can we send out a survey to parents? Can we request parent input? Can we send out a survey to the students? Have we had initiated any dialogue within the community? Because we've got community members who've been here for years and they've been through lots of things. They're wise. I don't do social media, but I've not seen nor have I heard of anything. I get texted a lot of stuff. I get called about a lot of things since I don't do Facebook, but I haven't heard anything on those fronts. No one's told me about any attempt to gather input from students or parents or community members. I asked my son if anybody's talked to him and he said no. Nothing through ASB, nothing through advisory, that kind of thing. I've personally been asked my opinions and I've been asked my input by several leaders in our educational community, but that's been out of respect for each other, a value that we hold for each other's experiences, wisdoms, and honest feedback. So I want to ask, why haven't parents or students as a whole been asked to participate in fixing these areas of great concern? Maybe we should start there. Maybe we could explore the dads group that Lindsay Holt recommended to you. She forwarded an email to me and said that she had recommended a dads group to you. Where I came from in a different state, in a different school, we had one of those and it worked well there. Maybe the high school needs a security person or someone with whatever title you guys desire that walks the halls and checks the bathrooms, can monitor the lunchroom, can walk the campus. We used to have such an individual several times since I've been here in 8 years. You could discuss the issue with the students in advisory. Like I said, we have ASB leaders, each one for each grade, and then one overall in the school. That's a great group of leadership that the kids have chosen themselves. They could help. Maybe we could host a town hall meeting. You guys have been talking about it since January. I'm staring at you, Matt. You've been telling us since January. Maybe now's the time. We're all willing to help. We're all here because we care about our kids and certain things that are going on in our community. And we are the primary stakeholders in our children's education. All you have to do is reach out and ask. We're here. We'd like to help you. We want to help because we don't want these problems in our schools and with our kids either. So we'd like to be part of your solution. Thank you.
Sure.
Sure.
I'm going to work tomorrow, but the next 4 days after that, I've got almost nothing going on. So
Okay, I'm busy tomorrow with other things. So whatever works for you after that is good for me. Even the weekend if that works, but I won't take you with my family. Okay.
Okay, next we got James Wyrick? Warwick? How do you say that?
Wyrick.
It is Wyrick, okay.
Hi, I go to EMS. I am in 8th grade and I'm going to graduate to high school next year. I came here with my mom, who is a 5th grade teacher at the Eatonville Elementary School. And I'm here to address some stuff that's been going on, and some people have some ideas about some ideas other people have thought of. In a few months ago, Eatonville Middle School, two teachers decided that to take their lunch out and let LGBTQ kids in and just a safe place and just talk about how we feel and what could be better. And a week ago, we decided to participate in the Day of Silences, where it's not a protest against like, oh, I'm not going to do schoolwork. It's just after all the times we've been shut down and to be silent just one day. It's not like we invented it. It's been going on in the LGBTQ community for a while. And it's just where we be silent. It doesn't have to be the whole day. Just be silent. It's like and we're not saying don't call. We're not saying we're not going to answer anything. Just we told our teachers that maybe if you could call on us a little less or not at all, we'd be very thankful. And some people came out when some people found out, because not a lot of people knew at first, and they thought of it very negatively, and now they don't want us. And I'm not saying that you have to like what we're doing or accept it at all, but I really appreciate the safe place and the teachers taking out their time just for us to be able to talk about our problems and do fun stuff together, like making bracelets. My friends did that. It was very fun. And I would like to propose instead of the teachers having to take out their lunch, maybe make our own GSA club, like an after school club every Wednesday. We already do it. We do it every Wednesday, and I don't think it's very fair for our teachers to be taking out their lunch and their free time and their time to plan just for us to have our own space. And I know some people might think it's wrong for us to do it at school, but some people don't have a home to go to where they feel safe. Like I know some people who are afraid to come out because they've been like in this atmosphere where it's not okay, but they know who they are and they can't just take that a part of you. Like if you like art, you can't just stop drawing. You like it. Or if you like to dance, you can't just take that away. It's for something you believe in. You can't just take that away that easily. It's a part of us. And we're not saying just to completely, I'm not saying, please just, I'm not saying get rid of all your thoughts, because that's not how it works. I'm just saying it really hurts when you make us feel different, and in a bad way, because I know I can't go a single period without being picked on. I know people talk behind my back, but during lunch, I feel safe. And I'd appreciate if you let us keep it. I have an amazing family who supports me, but I know not everyone is as lucky. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Thank you for your time. I'm sorry, I don't know what else to say.
Jenny, are you going to talk? You want a minute?
I'm sorry.
Jenny.
Hi. We were not prepared to speak tonight, but we were told that some people were here to speak against
the Gay Straight Alliance, and James wanted to come as a representative. And I felt as a parent that I needed to be here for him. It's hard to watch your child get picked on. And they provide a safe place for him. It's a hard community to be gay, a young gay male in middle school. Middle school isn't easy. It's not easy for anyone. And they give him a place to go and be him. And not everybody has that support. And when I heard that adults wanted to speak out against a child, it hurts. They are children that just need a support system, like everybody else. And he just needs adults to stand behind him. And that's what the middle school is trying to provide for them. It takes a lot of courage to come out at 13 years old. And I'm so proud of him. He does not need, nobody needs to be told that they can't have a support system. These are scared children that need our love and our guidance. And they are taking time out of their day to do that. And it's important that people stand behind them. Because these are the kids that are bullied. He gets food thrown at him at school. And it breaks my heart. The first thing I thought of when he came out to me and my husband was, kids are gonna be so cruel. And then I find out that adults are too. He's a sweet boy that found a place. And it means a lot. I'm sorry, I am mama. Just tears.
You're a mom.
And I should have something prepared, we both should, but he heard about it and wanted to be here. But I think it's important that you hear the other side. But these are just really sweet, kind children that have found their group. And they need the support. They need the cruiser love that we give to all the other teams and sports and groups. And they're not out there to like change someone or do harm. They just want to be them, do what they do, and have friends. And they found that place, and they found a safe place. And it's hard. Just wanted to give a face. And I think he's pretty cute. I think I'll keep him, but you know, that is what some people want to fight. Please let them have their place to be them and feel safe and supported. I'm sorry, it was not planned, but
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you. Jody Brooks.
You know, I might need a tissue too after that. I'm a very emotional person. Why this is, I don't like speaking in front of people. I'm actually was gonna speak on the National Day of Silence that happened as well. And I first want to say that I respect you for speaking. I think it's very important to allow our students to have free speech and have clubs after school to be able to express themselves in different ways. I did not know about I was told that I emailed the principal of the school because my husband and I had found out about what happened, but we had heard different stories. So I am all over the place. I apologize. So my daughter basically came home with a slip of paper that was handed to her by a student. And because of what was written on it, my husband and I didn't have a full understanding of what had gone on at school or anything like that. And our main concerns are that we feel like if something like this is going to be done at school by any club of any kind, then parents should be notified so that we can appropriately talk to our children about what will be happening, if they have questions. My daughter didn't understand what all the acronyms stood for, but she actually participated because she was excited to support others who, as far as she was being told and concerned, was being silenced and bullied and harassed and all that kind of stuff. So she was more than happy to participate. But part of our issue was that she didn't quite understand what exactly it was all about. And that's part of the issue. If something is going to be happening at school, something like this, granted, I know the intentions were I'm at a loss for it. Good, thank you. Then there can sometimes come out of situations like this bad outcomes. You know, a student that doesn't quite understand the club and what it's all about may get into conversations with other students and be labeled a certain way when, or, you know, it could be that they're, it's assumed that they're representing things in a different way that they are not. And that's why I think parents should be involved in these kinds of situations. In my response from the principal, I also got other information that I didn't know about, that there is talk during warrior time. Apparently there's something called the second step lessons. And then this goes along with, she called it regular content area lessons. And I was kind of bothered by this because I feel like this is, again, something that I had no idea was happening at school. And apparently, I guess it's conversations about how kids treat each other. I'm not even really sure, it wasn't explained. But again, I feel like if new systems are going to be set up at school, then parents should be notified. We should be told that, you know, during warrior time, where I thought it was a time where students, you know, catch up on homework and, you know, I don't know, if they need help with certain projects or whatever, they get that help from teachers. And now I'm finding out that that time is where, you know, teachers are having discussions with students about different subject matter. And that worries me, because how do I know that at some point in time, CRT is not going to be instituted, or, you know, I don't know, all kinds of things should start coming up. So unfortunately, this slip of paper brought up other concerns in regards to other areas of how the school is going to be handling things and what could possibly happen.
30 seconds left.
Okay, I can be done. I just did not go by my notes whatsoever. But anyway, I am all for groups, clubs, as long as it's outside of school, and that when we're in school, we're getting our general education in, and parents are notified when things like that come up. That's my concern and my request.
Thank you.
Kristen Poole.
Hey guys, thank you everybody for being here and community. This is awesome. Always to see everybody. So I just wanted to appreciate everybody and acknowledge our time that we're taking today and start out with saying thanks, James. Amazing. I just kind of also want to remind everybody that when we talk about numbers of community members and we mention 135 people, we really need to acknowledge that that's less than 1% of our Eatonville population. So when people come forward and say, I've spoken to X number of folks, 135 or so, we need to give that power what it is. That's less than 1%. And so we don't need to blanket statement that and act as though that is the majority of the groups of folks that are here. I feel like I've heard that quite a bit. And we can go through and get petitions and get everybody involved in this process. And maybe we need to do that, but that just needs to be something put forward at the table and just give us some perspective. We have really smart students in our community. We really do. I've been super fortunate of being able to communicate with a lot of kiddos in the district and volunteer pre-COVID time. And I'm really proud of our teachers in our community. We've got a lot of strong teachers and a lot of teachers who care so much about our community and our kiddos. And that's something that bigger school districts really don't have, which is part of the reason that I love Eatonville. It's that personal experience that you get in a small group where you can develop real relationships and long-term mentor type situations. So it's a great community. But we have smart kiddos here. And to speak more about what James was talking about and his mom, we need safe spaces for all kids at all times. And we are hearing situations of bullying. And I think that we need to take a moment and acknowledge that, and that needs to be a priority. I think we all want to feel a sense of belonging. Every one of us, that's a human being trait. We want to belong. That's so huge. And James found a few people to belong with, and that's really special. And we need to just keep supporting that and not tolerate bullying. It's not tolerable, not from students, not from adults, not from community members. Earlier, I heard one of the parents recommend or talk about children not necessarily knowing about terminology, right? So I didn't see that slip of paper, so I don't know what it says, but there was maybe some questions on the terminology of the verbiage on there. And so that kind of speaks back to what was brought up earlier is we can't talk about this in schools. We really need to be educating our kids about LGBTQAI topics. We do, because if we're not talking about it, then we have a lot of confusion. And then we have kids coming home to parents who are not willing to have that conversation with them, or they don't maybe have the skills to have that conversation. Those are hard, like, right? Talking to my kid about sex, oh my gosh, that's not a fun thing to do. And I maybe don't have all the skills. So to talk about LGBTQAI conversations, that's tough. And so to have a counselor or a trained professional bring up that verbiage, that language, express it in a way that is age appropriate, right? I think that's really important. Also, that the second step lessons, I think that's referred to the social emotional learning, right? And so for Warrior Time, that's how we build these relationships, right? This ability to be able to sit down and have this conversation. And I have to say, like, the timing of our talks today couldn't have been better, right? So like, had you spoken before James, I think it would have been a different conversation. And because James spoke first, like, we heard that and then understood a little bit more. And so it's this dialogue. It's hard to have a dialogue in this setting. but I appreciate that we're all willing to and come to the table. That again is what's amazing about Eatonville is every one of us loves this community. We're committed. That's why we're here. And we just want to belong. We just want to have a spot to feel safe. So thank you. Got my 30 seconds back. 10 seconds. CRT is not taught in schools. It is not allowed to be taught in schools. It's not taught in schools. Let's stop talking about it. Let's stop talking about it. It's not taught in school curriculum. I'm tired of hearing about it. I really, really am.
Got it. Thank you. All right.
Hi. As you said, my name is Emily, but my students call me Miss McLennan. I teach 8th grade math, and according to some, I'm the funniest math teacher in the building. While I think jokes are a great way to please a crowd, especially seemingly an unhappy one, today's topic is too personal and too emotional. So I would like to share a story instead. I was born to parents who met while my dad was working construction and my mom was supplying his company. My dad is actually from a town down the street. You might have heard of Roy. He grew up religious, going to church, and we continued to go after I was born. He believes marriage should be between a man and a woman, and so it was hard for him when my brother came out as gay in 6th grade. 2 years later, my brother came out as genderqueer or trans. While my dad still has lots of questions, he loves and protects my brother. I'm telling you this because I started my journey with this school. It was something that I was scared might be found out by the community. Truthfully, I'm still nervous to share. I was terrified that even though I am straight, that just being because of my affiliation with the LGBTQ+ community, I might have students who wouldn't want to learn from me. This stopped mattering as much when I volunteered to give my lunch break in order to make sure students like my brother have a safe environment and someone to advocate for them. This origin story, if you will, is why I'm so passionate about the issue and why I didn't care when I was told that I was risking more criticism by being here and making my voice heard. My brother and students like him deserve to be seen. They deserve to be advocated for, and they deserve to have a safe space. I've been listening to the board meetings in recent months, and in March, you can find them on YouTube. You heard from a high school student in March who was brave enough to ask about actionable steps to reduce school bullying. I've heard people mention bullying and substance abuse today as well. I have seen day to day how students in the LGBTQ+ community have been targets of the very bullying that she was talking about. I know more happens where I'm not able to stop it. However, keeping and supporting the GSA is one of those actionable steps that you might take. And as a math teacher, it's my duty to share some relevant facts and statistics. Students who identify as a part of the LGBTQ+ community who attend schools with GSAs are half as likely to report experiencing being threatened or injured in school or missing school because they are afraid. Because they are afraid to go to school. Additionally, students with gay-straight alliances also have lower odds of suicide attempts, regardless of whether they were gay or straight. I'm going to repeat that one for you. Students with gay-straight alliances also had lower odds of suicide attempts, regardless of whether they were gay or straight. But instances of suicidal thoughts were lowered by almost half for LGBTQ+ students. I may be one person, a teacher whose political opinion you don't want to hear, but I am begging you to continue allowing student participation in the GSA. It is imperative to the health of my students and the LGBTQ+ community in Eatonville because it exists. And it's also imperative to the growth of our community. Thank you.
Yeah, very good.
What?
Did Deanne Burlingame sign up?
I signed by mistake.
Oh, okay, no problem. We're glad to hear anyway. Okay, so that's the end of public comments. We will move on to new business at this time. We'll consider approval of purchase of refrigerator for the culinary arts program. Sure, if you want to.
So you should have gotten my rationale, and you can review it. If you have any questions, but the refrigerators and freezers in my program are original to the remodel in 2009. And so I'm looking to update those and make them kind of industry standard. And for all of you in the audience, if you haven't, there are treats provided by my program, so help yourselves at the end. But yeah, I'm looking to update and make it a little bit less like home ec and more family consumer science. So
right.
Does anybody have any questions about that or?
Questions? Seem pretty straightforward.
Okay.
Yeah, awesome. Thank
Sweet.
you. Okay, so I would accept the motion to approve purchase of the new refrigerator freezer for the culinary arts program as presented. Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All right, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Oh, by saying nay. Okay, we've got a new refrigerator freezer. What's superintendent comments?
Okay, I would like to continue by going through kind of a state of the district report with all the different buildings and some of the things we'll start with the high school. Students are registering this week for next year's classes. And so EHS counselors also visited Columbia Crest on Monday and then Eatonville Middle School on Tuesday for that transition. And you got to hear some of that with the principal reports earlier prior to this meeting. And there's also an important 8th grade parent meeting tomorrow night. So if you're an 8th grade parent, you should probably get that one at the high school. The high school's also excited about Community Day coming up next week, and we're busy preparing for that. So it'll be the first time in a couple of years we've had a Community Day. Lots of buzz going on about that. Prom will be on Saturday, May 14th. And it's also the season for college signings, and we're so proud of our seniors. We have 9 students so far moving on to college level athletics in fast pitch, football, basketball, swim, and track. So congratulations to those student athletes. At the middle school, they just had the Schoolhouse Rock Live Junior. It was a huge success. Performances last Friday and Saturday. At the high school, Mrs. Weirick, along with Theater of Arts Discipline, or TOAD, produced the musical and began practices only just the last weeks of March. So in a very short period of time, the students put on a very fabulous production. And again, strong supporter of the fine and performing arts. It's very important that we continue those things throughout our buildings. In the sports world, girls volleyball and co-ed track and field have begun, and they have their first meets and games this week, sans the weather. They also pointed out that the high school counselors came and visited all the 8th grade students and got them ready for freshman registration on Tuesday, April 26th. And even though I kind of read this, it's important to remember as a parent, when your child was, if you had a child that was an 8th grader going into 9th grade, that's a milestone. That's a big leap. That's a big deal. And as a former high school principal, we used to put a lot of energy, just like we do here at Eatonville, in getting these kids not only prepared, but feeling like this is a place where we want to go. And I know our teachers have done a wonderful job. Our 8th grade teachers working with our 9th grade teachers, handing these kids off as they move forward, because it's a big deal for them. And so we always want to make this a big event. So as a parent of older children now, sometimes as a parent, you feel like as your child gets older, you don't have to be as involved as you were maybe in grade school and middle school. It's the opposite. Even though they may say, oh, mom, oh, dad, I don't want to hear about you. Inside they're saying, tell me what to do. Yeah, I want to hear from you. So I want to encourage parents to stay connected with your kids as they get into the high school level, because it's extremely important. They really need you more than you think, or more than they want to let on. So that's my little personal note there. Eatonville Elementary School, they've continued to grow and expand their tiered approach to supporting students academically and socially. We've also expanded tier services to students that struggle with behavior issues by adding Ellie Gladstone to our staff as a mental health specialist. They are also happy to report that they have resumed their STEM field trip involving in STEM of science, technology, engineering, and math, involving stocking fish and the fish toss, which we engaged with last Thursday for the first time since the pandemic started in 2020. And I'm going to scold them for not personally inviting me, because I would have loved to have been at a fish toss. Warehouser practices are in high gear for Community Day. The third graders will be performing the May pole dance, while the fourth and fifth grade bucket drummers will perform the American Sign Language Club. Kindergarten enrollment for 22-23 school year is underway, and as of this report, I got a couple days ago, was over 30 students already enrolled, and now it's up to 38, from what I understand. That's correct. Columbia Crest, the middle school students had a March Madness event last month. The whole month, the students learned basketball skills from Coach Heeman. The unit ended with a week-long tournament and a final championship game. After an epic battle between the Dudes and the Flyers, the Dudes won 31-22. The bleachers were full of students from other classes enjoying the game, and unfortunately, we weren't able to get the pictures up live stream here today. The second grade students have been learning about animals and their habitats. Students created dioramas to show a variety of animals in their natural habitat. Other classes visited to learn from each animal expert. In conjunction with the highly capable program, or HiCap, being housed at Columbia Crest, we have reestablished our partnership with Mount Rainier. Students from the HiCap program, as well as students from the hands-on health class at Columbia Crest, are able to take advantage of the administrative facility of Mount Rainier National Park right in our backyard in the adjoining Tahoma Woods. While there, they will be working with their meadow restoration team to study various native plants. That concludes my report.
Okay, thank you, Jerry. All right, move on to board comments. Anybody have anything they'd like to comment on?
Shall I go first?
Go ahead.
I'm the first one to say that I know exactly how it feels to have a personal philosophy or opinion that is in contrast to the public opinion, and I know how hard it is to stand up in front of people and say what is true to you, and speak your convictions. And I respect that, and everybody should be able to do that at any time. We've heard a lot here about what the board allowing this to continue. I've been spending most of the time while people were talking researching our own policies here on this board, and from what I'm seeing is we don't have the authority to restrict this in the first place. We have quite a few policies on this. Board policy, I'll start with 2153. It regards non-curriculum related student groups. It specifically says, pursuant to the Equal Access Act, which is a law, that the principal shall approve the non-curriculum related student meetings or activities, provided that the meeting is voluntary and initiated by students. The meeting, the school or its staff shall not be the sponsor of the group. Students shall be responsible for the direction, control, and conduct of the meeting. Any guests that come in must be a non-regular participant, or must be registered and must not be a regular participant. And then public funds cannot be used. Staff members cannot be compelled to go if it's against their or it's contrary to their beliefs, and the constitutional rights of all persons shall be respected. So that's the first one, saying that all groups, regardless of your opinion of them, shall be allowed to happen in our schools. This policy here, this is again 2153, was adopted in 1994. It's not new. The next one I'm going to go to is freedom of assembly. This is policy 3223. This one was adopted 1980. It says that individual students and student organizations may meet in schoolrooms or auditoriums or outdoor locations on school grounds to discuss pass resolutions and take lawful action respecting any matter which directly or indirectly concerns or affects them, whether or not it relates to school. Peaceful demonstrations are permissible, though they are to be held in a designated place where they shall present no hazard to persons or property, and at designated times that shall not disrupt the classes or other school activities. And then we have board policy 3220P, PAPA, that talks about what is considered a disruption, and that is at the discretion of the school principal. So I understand that I've seen a lot of emails starting last night and then through today. Also, we've had time since then to research what's happened. And it sounds like we have a student club that is not something that is necessarily supported by the entire community, but I'm yet to see a true violation of any school policy. So I understand that it's not what the whole community wants to hear, especially not from me, but looking at our policies, I'm open to discuss it with anybody one-on-one, but I believe in freedom of speech and expression, and it doesn't have to be my personal belief for me to support it.
Okay. Anybody else? Rhonda, do you have anything? Any comments?
Yeah. Yes, I do. Thank you, Matt, for sharing that message. I appreciate it. Also, I wanted to touch on a few other things. I would like to propose to the board that if the WASET group has been able to overcome some of the compliance issues that we had with risk management in the past, that we revisit that. And I'm certain that those are issues that are being looked at closely. But I know we all would like to support that if we can come into compliance with our risk management. So I hope we can move that forward. I wanted to kind of invite everyone who hasn't had the chance to go back and to watch the YouTube video of our previous meeting that we just had, our work study. There they will be able to see reports from the principals from the buildings, sharing their goals and their action plans around some of the unique challenges that we have this post-COVID education year and academic year. And I think that you will, as parents and students, see that our principals care very deeply and that they are really being thoughtful and working hard to meet the needs of children. And I wanted to also recognize the high school for really bringing in some substance abuse interventions so that we can help support the mental and physical health of our kids. And I really appreciate that important work that's being done by all of our staff. Appreciate all of the parents who are here and the words that have shared, and students that have been able to stand up and share their experience as well. And just appreciate the great work you're all doing.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Rhonda. Yeah, I would echo what everybody else has said. I would send a shout out to James there. I've been sitting at this table for years, and I still hate talking in front of a bunch of people, you know, and to be a kid, to step up in front of a room of adults and speak what's on their mind is takes a lot of guts. So good for you. That's impressive. Yeah, and equestrian wise, we've been talking with WASET. We've been working Amy and Gary, and we had some legal stuff tying us in knots for a long time. I believe we're going to have those knots untied in the near future. And again, I hate promising things I can't deliver, but I believe we can get this done in time for the June deadline. Yeah, I'm confident we will. So not promising, but I believe so. So yeah. Yeah, Brandon Garrison, the president of WASET, we've been talking continually for 2 years now to Unfortunately, every time he's called in the last year and a half, it's been, sorry, I got bigger fish to fry right now. But yeah, we're gonna make Wausau work. Yeah, and yeah. So I know it's important to a lot of people. We haven't forgotten about it. We're gonna get there. So thank you. All right. Well, that being said, the board is going to recess to executive session pursuant to RCW 42.30.110G. I have to write that down so I don't get it wrong. To discuss personnel. So that's going to last about 20 minutes, after which we will be taking action. So we'll have to come back into open public meeting to do that. If you want to stay and wait, you're more than welcome to. If you want to go, you're more than welcome to. I hate to see any of these cookies left from the culinary program.
I had a student in her class eat them.
As a result of executive session, no action is going to be taken after all. So I'm sorry if you were staying just for that, and meeting's adjourned at 8:19.
No action.
No action taken.
Oh, good.